Good evening. I'm Chris Matthews in Washington. Let me start tonight with this war in Washington. Say what you will about the election we just had. This one's hotter, nastier, more personal. One side says it's about character, about whether a close confederate of the president told the truth, the whole truth as she knew it when she went on national television and said the death of a U.S. ambassador was a spontaneous reaction to an anti-Muslim video some troublemaking clown made out in California. Ignoring John McCain and his allies argue evidence it was an organized act of terrorism. Not so, says the president. His UN ambassador and close friends simply told the truth as she was permitted to tell it, what the CIA gave her to say, and no more. For that, he charges Susan Rice as being, in the words of the New York Post, being fried. While political fight fans and the tabloids relish this extreme combat, what should be a good person's judgment? And that's my question tonight. Is Susan Rice now a surrogate for the president, someone to take the punishment when others above her pay grade should be answering the questions? Or is she accountable for going on national television knowing she can't tell the whole truth because it's classified? Let's begin with Senator Susan Collins, Republican of Maine. I guess it's the toughest question in the world, Senator, and that is, do you believe that Susan Rice, the UN ambassador, knowingly covered up a breach of national security?
Well, let me say this, Chris. Our purpose is to understand the security failure in Benghazi, what the administration told the American public about it, and how we can learn lessons to keep our personnel safer in the future. So that's my interest and goal in this situation. I think it's evident, and indeed Ambassador Rice herself has admitted, that the information that she gave out on those Sunday shows was not accurate in several crucial aspects. She says that she relied on information that was given to her, but it's obvious that she chose to emphasize some aspects and downplay others. And frankly, I think the UN ambassador, along with the Secretary of State, should be above politics, and that she should have just said, no, I'm not going to go on those shows. It's the wrong issue and the wrong time of year. I've got to maintain my credibility.
Do you know or believe that she was given classified materials which conflicted with what she said on Meet the Press and those other shows?
The classified materials are different from the unclassified, but they are not different when it comes to a discussion of many of the major elements. What bothers me a great deal is the president of Libya himself was saying that this was a terrorist attack, that they had arrested 50 people, and that there had been Al-Qaeda influenced individuals from other countries that had come in, and that it was premeditated and planned. And I just don't understand why the administration would have Susan Rice go on television and say that the views, essentially, of the president of Libya just didn't matter. She completely discounted them. That doesn't make sense to me.
You said you suggested she was behaving politically. Fair enough, if that's the case. What would be the political purpose in denying the role of terrorism in this act, the central role of terrorism, organized terrorism, in the death of Ambassador Stevens? What would be your purpose politically in that?
I believe that the administration wanted to portray Libya as an unqualified success story, and Ambassador Rice was one of the chief advocates of our involvement in Libya, so arguably had a personal stake in that as well. I think that it was contrary to the narrative of the administration to say that Libya was awash with weapons, that there was a growing Al-Qaeda presence, that there were training camps for Islamic extremists, particularly near Benghazi, and that there had been 274 security incidents in just the past 13 months, 5 of which were, 1 out of 5 were in Benghazi, including an attempt on the life of the British ambassador that caused the British to withdraw their consulate from Benghazi. So I think that it was contrary to the success story that the administration wanted to portray when it comes to Libya.
Let me go back to the facts as you know them now. Was there a role played by that video, that anti-Islamic video made in California in this horror story? Did it play a role?
It may have inspired some of the people who later entered the compound, but I have not seen evidence that it was the cause of the violent attack on our personnel in Benghazi that cost 4 Americans their lives. And certainly, Ambassador Rice's statement on ABC News when she said that it was the direct result of the video was not accurate. And today she told me that she did not intend to say what she said on ABC.
I want you to listen to something. This is in the New York Times. It was in Today about what we know now of the attacks in Benghazi. This is the New York Times Day and straight reporting. On-the-ground accounts indicate that Ms. Rice's description of the attack, though wrong in some respects, was accurate in others. Witnesses to the assault said it was carried out by members of the Ansar al-Sharia, the militant group, without any warning or protest in retaliation for an American-made video mocking the Prophet Muhammad. Is that the truth as you know it?
It's partially the truth. When you look at what happened, and I've reviewed tapes, I've reviewed classified materials, I've sat through hours of briefings, there were some people who no doubt came onto the compound not only to loot it, but because they were angry about the video. But that is not the primary cause of the assault on the compound. Okay. If you look at what happened, there was clearly no protest, and the administration concedes that now. There was no protest that preceded the assault on the compound. And the fact is that that was known prior to September 16th, when Ambassador Rice went on those shows. There was conflicting information. I will totally readily concede that. But there was reporting and information that said that there wasn't any protest, including interviews with people who had been there on the ground. So for Ambassador Rice or any other administration official to maintain with such certitude that there was a protest and that the assault was primarily linked to the video just does not hold up.
Okay, thank you so much for coming on Hardball, Senator Susan Collins. Thank you so much of Maine. Now joining us is David Corn, Washington Bureau Chief for Mother Jones and author of the ebook 47%. David, to capsulize, the Senator has just said, and I think rather clearly, that her complaint or concern about the ambassador's position on the Sunday shows in the days after the attack on our facility in Benghazi is not that she was constrained by not being able to use unclassified material, but she took the material that she was given, shaped it politically, and used it to protect the president's narrative that winning in Libya was a clean win, that there was no complication of an emerging al-Qaeda-related organization there.
Well,
Does that straight make sense to you?
I think you sum it up right. I will give her credit for admitting what a lot of people on the right haven't, that it was a confusing situation. The New York Times, AP have reported from the ground that while the people who launched the attack seemed to come in not as a protest, but as they came in, they rounded up people and they told people while they were mounting the attack that they were mad about the film. Yeah. So it might have been premeditated, but they were using the film, which was in the news that day.
I agree. You're great at this, but let's get to the heart of the argument. What they don't like on the Republican side is any suggestion would put the al-Qaeda to death, period. They think that's a PR statement, not a fact. No, let's stick to that thing. They are very angry because they think that's presidential politics. It's not truth-telling.
And what they're doing, though, is they're attributing more al-Qaeda-ness to this attack and this group. This was a militia that was well established in Benghazi that had been working with the government there to do security. It wasn't an al-Qaeda
Well, they were armed with RPGs and all, and they came and attacked our facility there. They were terrorists.
And I think...
Well, they were terrorists that day.
They were terrorists that day, but there are a lot of terrorists that aren't al-Qaeda. But when she said at the beginning that the key thing here is to the security failure in Benghazi, she's correct. And that's not Susan Rice's responsibility. That's the State Department.
I know, they're going back. And Susan Rice is being asked to defend all kinds of stuff that is really the responsibility of the State Department and the CIA to explain right now.
Right.
It was mainly a CIA operation. Anyway, this afternoon in a cabinet meeting, President Obama answered a question from a reporter about the heat that I was calling it the fried rice, because that's exactly what the headline was in the New York Post today, that frying of rice is getting from Republicans on the Hill. But let's take a look at the president's way of handling this today.
Mr. President, do you think the Hill is being fair to Susan Rice in this meeting?
Thank you so much, guys.
Any thoughts on that at all?
Susan Rice is extraordinary. Couldn't be prouder of the job that she's done at USUN.
Well, there you saw Hillary Clinton leading the applause. But really, to be fair about it, the officer in charge was the State Department and the CIA. And here you take the UN ambassador, haul her before all these people these last couple of days, as if she's the expert on Benghazi.
The big thing is not what she said on a talk show. It's what actually happened and what should be done afterward. And if you look at the talking points, the unclassified talking points, she didn't really sit there and weigh and decide what to say. She kind of did what many people in Washington, including senators, often do, stuck to the unclassified talking points and didn't go into the other stuff.
They believe that she shifted. Well, just to get her testimony we just got here from Susan Rice, from Susan Collins, she believes the ambassador to the UN went on television on Sunday, not on a talk show, but on Meet the Press, which is about establishing hard news on Sunday. It's a very, the cycle.
We all know that.
No, the government puts its officials on to make official statements. And her official statement, she said, was shaded in a political direction, and her argument was she shouldn't have been doing that.
But she's attributing that to Susan Rice when the information was coming from the CIA and others in the administration.
She's treating her like a principal.
Yes, well,
okay,
she
fair
wasn't.
enough. Well, she wants to be a principal, apparently. Anyway, thank you, David.
Sure thing.